there's like a stigma still around girls doing, heavy compound lifts, which has been going away recently with the rise of powerlifting. I think it's like a pretty popular mainstream sport nowadays. In terms of getting away from that mindset of girls are going to be too masculine if they get under the bar, how can we change that mindset to the mass, like, non-powerlifter mainstream girls that are trying to get into the gym?
Yeah, I feel like just by showing them, get yourself under the bar. There's so many misconceptions out there, and you got to just do it. And like, your body will show you. Like, I have a lot of female clients and I have a lot of young female clients. So I deal with kids from the age of like 13 to 16, and most of them are females. And the main problem comes from their parents not having the right education. And, they'll come to me, oh, my daughter is going to be in a fashion show. Don't have her lift too heavy because, I don't want her to get too bulky for the show. And I kind of just look at them and I say, do I look bulky?
Damn.
Because it's true, like, you can't be afraid of weight and how much you're lifting in the gym. It's part of health and keeping your bones strong and preventing injury. Like, that's so important.
That's a huge pressure for a parent to put on a 13-year-old.
Oh
my God.
It happens so much still nowadays. And it's very frustrating because I can say everything I know to the parent, but they still have this mindset of, oh, I just need my daughter to lose 5 pounds this month. Yeah. And it's like, it's not realistic. What's realistic is something that is sustainable and that can be long-term. Because by the time your daughter is 15, what is she going to think? Oh, I want to lose weight. All right, I'm going to starve myself to lose these 5 pounds in a month. Then you're going to have real problems on your hands, So it's just more of that education and having their kids come into the gym, me weightlift with them, and then they can actually see the progress that they're having. They're like, oh, okay, this is the right way to kind of...
It's funny you say that because it's like the parent is paying you to help their child get in shape, but they're telling you what to do.
Yeah. And parents love to do that.
They love it.
Parents love to tell you how to train their kids.
That's very common with our career.
Make sure they do cardio. Right. Like,
we don't want her lifting. No. We don't want her to get big and bulky. Just cardio.
Why do you think that? Why do you think that that's such a stigma? Why do you think that that's the way that these people think, that if you lift,
I think
then you're going to get bulky?
I don't know. I think a big part is social media, and like their parents, for example, back in the day, they had the magazines, right? And they had these girls like super skinny and a specific like aesthetic. Now it's definitely a little bit more of that thicker aesthetic, and I get my high school girls, oh, I want the booty,
but thick fit.
But when it's like the parent pushing, especially those younger girls, it's really hard to kind of change that like stigma that they have in their mind, and it's not about the way you look, it's about health. And like, another thing is huge, and I know you guys have talked about this in the past, is like, fat is very important to have, especially as a female. Like, for your hormones to function properly, you need fat. It's impossible.
It's the difference between like body fat and the food fat.
Yeah, it's impossible for a girl to have a flat stomach and be healthy. If you're not getting your period, that's a huge sign that we need to change something. And it's just educating and sharing other experiences from other clients and giving them tips that have worked for me personally to try to make the experience not as overwhelming, because I know that can happen too. And mental health is huge for me, and I know with like fitness and wellness and the whole realm, there's so much that goes into it that you could put a list of 10 things and look at it and be like, oh shit, where do I start, and what do I do, and how do I get to this end goal that I have or that you have for your child? Like, we got to go one step at a time, and it's trial and error. It sucks, but that's how it is, you know?
Morgan, do you have any experiences with some things that are similar to that?
I experienced a lot of the moms and the young girls. I had one instance, it was, we don't want her to get big and bulky. We want her to lose weight. She'd show up to the sessions not eating anything. The mom would have her do cardio outside with like the, like those garbage, not a garbage bag, but like, those sweat suits. And I ended up having to talk to my boss about it at the time. And I had to like not train that client anymore because it was getting to the point where it was dangerous. Like,
child
she
abuse.
couldn't show up and having not eaten anything. And yeah, it goes back to education. I think a lot of it is sadly the older generation. I don't think it was their fault because we can see now how much social media influences us and we can all be aware of it. But I think back then it was like the magazines, the commercials, what their mothers were telling them. I mean, I have a client in her 90s and she still says what she thinks the perfect look is. And it's generational. And I feel like it's changed over the years. Like I do think now our generation is definitely more inclined to strength training and mental health and all those things, and that's great. But now that we're working with the kids, we're dealing with the parents. And I mean, I have women clients in their 50s and 60s, and they fight me weekly. Like, my clothes are fitting tighter now. I'm lifting too much weight. And I'm like, well, maybe your clothes will fit differently, but also you're with me 2 hours a week. Let's also look at your diet. That could factor in too, crazy thought. But yeah, I think a lot of it is generational and it's working to change that. And I think that's our job. And, you know, as hard as it could be sometimes with the parents, like it's worth it because we could change this for the years to come.
I think it's important to remind as well that the field of exercise science that we have now, it didn't exist back then.
Yeah,
in like the 70s
absolutely.
and 80s. All the information that we have back then, it was just like, you literally just had the guys that were like Arnold and the girls which were super skinny.
Yeah.
They did the what was it, the Zumba classes?
It was either the skinny Jane Fonda,
The Jane Fonda.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
or the bodybuilding women that was just like
Yeah.
super jacked.